Hello and welcome to Healing Within number 21. My name is Roy Fensom and I run Moon and Mask, and through that I do therapeutic services, one of which is hypnotherapy. And this evening I will be discussing NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. But before I do that, I would like to thank anybody and everybody that watches this in replay or live for joining in last week. There was a lot of interesting questions, and we always look forward to having the questions put out there. Now, for that particular reason, I am going to put up there, please share your comments with friends and family. Tell them that the show is on regularly and we discuss many of the items that we believe can help you to improve yourself or improve your family, or simply improve the area that you are living in, whether that is spiritual, emotional, or well-being, physical. We try to find people who have an aspect that anybody can use to heal themselves outside of the traditional healing systems, such as doctors, chiropractors, physiotherapists, the mainstream medical systems. And to alleviate some of those problems that we have in the sense of energy usage, we have had in the past some people who have done sound healings, energy healings. We've had Matthew Greenwood, who has done a great deal of spiritual development for people. Excuse me. And we are always on the outlook for people who have interest that can be used for a lot of people seeking their own path in spirituality. Next week we will have Katerina Lenarcic and the Lotus Sisters, and we will be talking about the Akashic Records, how that can help you and how that can bring about differences in your life, and talk to people who can contact those Akashic Records, which are aspects of ourselves, and we can see past and future aspects of our life. Now, for those that are interested, NLP, I leave it open tonight to anybody that does NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, to offer to come on board. You have only to put it into the comments and I will send you a link, and we will certainly get you on board, and you can tell us how you use neuro-linguistic programming in your daily life or your business life, and we can help other people and probably answer some questions that other people have as well that I can't answer. My experience with NLP is limited to what I do, which is hypnotherapy and retail. As I mentioned in the comments when I was putting it up, there are some bad sides to NLP, and a lot of people are probably not aware of these NLP bad sides. There's not a lot of them, but it is evident, and I would actually like to start on the bad aspects of NLP. Well, actually, that's wrong. I should explain what NLP is. And before me, I have a page which will give you some ideas of the terminologies used for neuro-linguistic programming. It is a study of the structure of subjective experience. It is an accelerated learning strategy for the detection and utilization of patterns in the world. It is the I hate this word, epistemology of returning to what we have lost, a state of grace. It is whatever works. These are terms used by different people in their analysis of the term NLP. NLP is an attitude and a methodology which leaves behind a trail of techniques. NLP is the influence of language on our mind and the subsequent behaviour. That's part of the one that I would like to talk about this evening. NLP is a system study of human communication, and NLP is the method of modelling excellence so it can be duplicated. Now, most of those are indeed the best aspects of neuro-linguistic programming. But the ones that people seem to avoid, you can notice very clearly in domestic violence. This is where somebody uses a form of vocalization to control another person. It is the deep end of neuro-linguistic programming. The progenitor is the person who says, you will not see this person, you will not do this, and controls another person both in character and in emotional status. And in doing so, does not allow that person to expand and become more than they are. This person may well have been very sociable, may well have been fluent in aspects of their daily life. But through the use of neuro-linguistic programming, which normally takes place before a connection with that person, it could be in a bar, it could be in general connection at a party or something like that. The first person will use terminology to find out whether this person is susceptible to neuro-linguistic programming. Having done so, this person may well control this person in later life and in marriage, using neuro-linguistic programming to control the aspects of that person. I say this not to turn people off of NLP, but to understand that there is always a dark side to just about anything that can be invented, or anything that can be used to assist people can also be used to offend people and control people. A lot of people will complain that we really don't want to know this. But if we look at some of our children, they learn from their parents about the use of terminology in neuro-linguistic programming, and they use it against their peers and siblings, either at home or at school. And you'll find that they are the ones that are bullying other people. This is a form of neuro-linguistic programming, which children, like sponges, pick up from the adults. It's not something that it's planned for. It's not something which we as parents sort of teach our children to do. It's something which they, as children who are constantly learning, listen in, they listen to the responses, and then they elicit that questioning attitude or those phrases on other people to get the desired response that they want. And that is, in essence, neuro-linguistic programming. So if we use it in our daily lives, we have to be very cautious about how we do this in front of our children and how we do this in front of our friends and family. It's quite easy to use neuro-linguistic programming at parties and events. Excuse me. There are a number of aspects or principles of NLP which some of us would recognize. And I'll go over the 6 that are pretty much the aspects of NLP. But again, I open this up to anybody that is listening in. If you use NLP in your business or your home life or some other form of area that we're not familiar with, please log in, leave your name. I will certainly send you a link and we can have you on board and we can discuss how you personally use NLP in your business or in your in the actions that you use every day. There's a lot of broadcasters, for instance, who use NLP. It's very prolific in broadcasting. But now, I said I was going to just oversimplify some of the 6 principles. Right, the first principle is your emotional state and your level of skill. So if you're new to it, you're not going to have a great deal of effect. But the more you use NLP, the greater your ability to control what you say and the use of the phrases. Now, there are the presuppositions or the principles of NLP, and these are the guiding principles, those ideals and beliefs that are presupposed, that is, taken for granted and acted upon. We use that when we're selling products. You'll find that, for instance, car salesmen are absolutely brilliant in neuro-linguistic programming. They will hear some of the comments that you make. They will note whether you're left or right-handed, whether you're forebrain, left brain, right brain. They will watch how you move your eyes to the top, to the left, to the right. And all of these are signals to people who use neuro-linguistic programming so that they can make comments that you will be more adept to listening to. Now, the third aspect is the rapport or the quality of the relationship. The more that these people become familiar with this and they talk with this, the more that we are more likely to take them on board as being close or friendly. They may not be, but again, in the aspect of police officers, they are required to use NLP to control a situation, to be aware of the emotions of people as they make contact with them. Some are very belligerent and the response is the same as what they're giving out. But some people are very good at NLP and they will diffuse a situation by using NLP. Negotiators with the police are exceptionally well trained in neuro-linguistic programming. So when you see some of these shows where the person comes along and they're attempting to talk somebody down or talk a gunman out of letting some of the people that might be, for argument's sake, in a bank, they will use neuro-linguistic programming in order to elicit a response in that criminal to get them to release the people that they are holding. There are a great many people in that use therapeutic services that have a connection with neuro-linguistic programming, and especially in some of your bigger stores, such as Harvey Norman's, a lot of the electrical stores where they have the big TVs and they need to sell them and move them along. Some of the people are either sent to neuro-linguistic programming displays or training centres, or they learn themselves. There are indeed there is a course which you can do, and it's called Downloadable NLP Training Guides. And this is pretty much free, and you can teach yourself if you want to excel in what you do or increase your own motivation, your own emotional status. You want to raise that up. You can use oh, it's a big one. I'm going to keep saying NLP because it's just simply too difficult to keep saying neuro-linguistic programming. So, look, if you're tuning in, please let me know that you are there. I know we've got a couple of people in the background there somewhere. It would be nice just to just say hi and let me know that I'm not talking to my own shadow. Obviously, I'm not using neuro-linguistic programming, or I would be drowned by now in people coming on. Now, the fourth principle is the outcome, knowing what you want to start with. If you're attempting to build yourself up, how do you want to do that? Do you want to increase your emotional aspect? Are you looking to communicate with others better? Are you looking to promote yourself to a job prospect in that aspect? Hang on a moment, I'm just going to put this up in the corner. Excuse me. All of these outcomes you need to have presupposed into your mind as to the outcome that you want. And again, that draws me back to a person who is attempting to control another person by domestic violence or verbal violence. We take verbal violence as, well, even an insult is considered verbal violence. And if we're good at it, we can offend the other person and we can get a response that we want from that person. And if you do NLP, you can, in essence, trail what you already know to affect different people. And that's why some people, when they are up on stage and they're giving a talk to people, you will find them entertaining. They are visually captivating. They are your friend. They make eye contact. They say the right things at the right time, and they use terms which are either visual, kinesthetic, or audio, and they appeal to those people who have those aspects in their life. Somebody who feels good, who knows that the aspect, I understand, I feel this, I do this. These are all feeling aspects, and if you use NLP with those aspects in mind, you will appeal to that person. Some people are kinesthetic, and so if you're moving and you're touching and you're motivated to keep things on an ongoing basis, then you're going to appeal to a kinesthetic type person. And people who are up on stage and doing these wonderful speeches will be saying, I see, I feel, I know, can you understand? These are all terms that are used with kinesthetic and audio people, people who are touch sensitive, who are visual people. All of these aspects that you'll find up on stage from a very good person who is a public speaker. People hate public speaking because they don't feel that they can connect with their audience. And in truth, the chances are that you will get a good audience because the people who will come to see you will be interested in the topic that you have. It won't matter if you are kinesthetic or audio visual or something like that. If people are interested in your topic, they will come. Now, there's also the aspect of feedback. How will you know you are getting what you want? Now, this brings me to the aspect of the police. They use NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, as a form of crowd control, as a form of communication control. Sometimes they have belligerent people who come on. And if you listen closely to RBT, that's probably a good show if you tune into RBT. Listen to some of the comments that the police will make on those shows. They are aimed not at getting a person to not blow in the bag. It's designed to control the conversation to a point where they will get them to do the random breath test, even if they really don't want to. Now, they might have to go to hospital, they may have to go back to the van, but all the time they're doing that, they're asking questions, they're talking to this person, they're finding out information that they can use to control the situation and have a greater rapport with the people who are doing that particular aspect of having to go back to the van, leave their car behind, take 20 minutes out of their life to go to another area and talk consistently and calmly with police. So that's one of the items on the feedback aspect. And also, if you're doing it for yourself, what will you expect as the feedback? Do you want to have people coming up to you and talking to you? Like tonight, we have 1 or 2 people who are viewing, and that's fine for me. I don't mind 1 or 2 people being on the show. I live in the hopes that if people watch this in the replay, that they will find information that they want more acceptable. So for me, the feedback that I get will be the amount of people that watch in the replay. If I get a large crowd on and they want to ask questions, that also is a feedback aspect, and that too is a part of the NLP. But if I did this expecting 3,000 people to come on and make my life somehow different, that would be an uncommon feedback, and it's not one that I would expect. And the 6th principle of NLP is flexibility. If what you are doing is not working, then do something else. And that's also a part of the NLP process. It's basically the same as anything that we do. We trial it. If it works, we continue to use it. If we trial it and it doesn't work, then we have to revitalize. We have to change the manner in which we are doing it. And NLP is no different. Sometimes the phrases that we will use and the aspects that we will have may not work on everybody. We may pick the wrong aspect for the wrong person. You might be attempting to use feeling. Do you feel this? Do you sense this upon the scene? These are comments that you do, but if it's to a person who is visual, that's not going to work. And so you have to change from saying, I feel, to something along the lines of, I see your point. Can you see where I'm trying to go? Is this visual? Can you visualize yourself in this area? These are terms that would be used in NLP. And it's an aspect which, when you are using neuro-linguistic programming, you need to constantly be changing in order to make a difference to the people that you are using the NLP for or with. And also, you have to change it for yourself, because as we go along, we tend to change slightly. The more that we use NLP, the more we will become more open to different aspects of ourselves. I may have started out as a feeling type person, and then as you do NLP, you'll become more visual. You'll sense that people will see things differently, so you'll use that term. Some people that you talk to use the term hear. I hear what you're saying, but are you listening to what I'm saying? These are hearing people, and as you do more NLP, that too will become a portion of you, and you will change what you're doing and who you're talking to and what you're talking about to match the manner in which they are listening. Now, if you go to a car yard and the person there that you browsing around. They'll always come out and they'll ask a few questions in order, excuse me, to find out whether you're interested in a vehicle. Some of them will probably not know as much about NLP as the bigger car yards. But if you go to a large car yard, chances are these people have been trained in neuro-linguistic programming, and they will be listening to what you say and how you talk about that vehicle, and they will change their comments to match what you're saying so that it suddenly becomes more entertaining. You see this person, because they're using symbols that you're accustomed to using, as being closer, and you can make a response to them, and you begin to presuppose that they are on your wavelength, so to speak. So neuro-linguistic programming in that area means that the car salesman is going to use terms that you absolutely adore. You know, you should hear this thing when it's running. Oh, and the radio sounds terrific. And they'll also use 2 or 3 words in a phrase. And normally police and salespersons especially will give you a word, then there's a pause, and then there's 2 or 3 words. Just see if I can run one quickly out for you. With a salesman, he might say, this car is exceptional and it runs well, and you, space, can have this today. This elicits a response that, even though the phrase is, you can have this today, and you might say, I have no intentions of doing this today, that small pause puts an emphasis on the last 3 words. And so what your mind hears is, can buy this today. So it's those 2 or 3 phrases that are intermingled into the conversation, which allow police, therapists, counsellors, salespersons, they will use those aspects in order to try and not coerce, but so much as let's put you in the direction which brings you closer to buying the product or doing what they initially want you to do. Now, in the sense of verbal bullying or domestic violence, in the sense of controlling somebody else, this may well be somebody who has not done LP. They may well have naturally learnt that certain phrases that they use will elicit a response that they want. And as they get older, they find it is much easier using this system to control another person. Whether this is intentional, I really don't know. I can't say that it is. I can't say that it isn't. But at some point, this person feels that they have the right to control another person. And the worst of it is that by allowing that person to carry on doing this and changing small things over a larger period, this form of NLP, which is, again, neuro-linguistic programming, it's affecting the mind through the language, and it's programming somebody else to do something that they want them to do. In the case of domestic violence, it is about not seeing your friends, not going out, not doing this, and they blame somebody else. It's your fault. If you did as I told you, this space would not happen. And there lies the emphasis there of somebody who may not know neuro-linguistic programming, but uses a form of it as a control agent on a secondary person. And a child which is in this area may well learn neuro-linguistic programming in their growing up years, especially if they happen to be young. They may well draw on this experience, even if they manage to get out of the domestic violence incident. Their parent, mother or father, may get them out of the initial domestic violence scene, but they may retain this form of NLP and use it when they go to school. Depends on whether they're homeschooled, of course. And it also depends on whether the people that they go to, now if that happens to be relations or friends, it depends on whether they use similar forms of neuro-linguistic programming. If they don't know it, the chances are that they will see that there is a different way of using this form of language, and they may not use it. And they may recognise the damage that it can do and may form their own aspects on using this form of language. And when they grow up even older, say around college age, where they're likely to go to university or college or some aspect like that, and somebody brings up the term neuro-linguistic program, they may be interested. They'll go into it and they will see that there is a brilliant future for neuro-linguistic programming, but they will also understand that there is a negative side to neuro-linguistic programming. It's not always about building ourselves up. For some people, it's about building themselves up by creating a negative aspect in somebody else and a negative response in somebody else. Some of these children, if they get into an aspect where the person that they are going to, as in a relation or a friend, will use a similar technique to affect response with other people, and they may turn out, the children in this case, may turn out to be bullies at school and end up using neuro-linguistic programming on other children. And that's where we see this aspect of phone, using mobile phones to get a response. And with social media the way that it is now, just one person putting that out there may be sufficient to have 10 or 20 people or 10 or 20 of their peers do the same thing for fear of response from the person who starts this initial NLP trouble. We have to watch this. We have to see it in our children and see that it's coming up. And if we have the forethought and the ability to train these people that neuro-linguistic programming should be more about getting ourselves to expand and to be better than we are and to achieve results that we want without affecting others. Neuro-linguistic programming is an absolutely brilliant programming aspect for the self. Now, I want to read just a little bit of how it can help. So I've given a fair sway of some of the people that use it, and I must admit I've probably overdone a little bit on the dark side, so to speak. So I want to travel down the light side, if you will. Neuro-linguistic programming is an approach to communication, personal development, and psychotherapy. It was created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder in California. It claims that there is a connection between neurological processes, the language, and the behavior patterns learned through experience. So NLP is marketed by some hypnotherapists, myself included in that, and by some companies to organize seminars and workshops. And there you have the aspect of public speaking and being vibrant when you're on stage and using terminology which everybody can make use of. There's no scientific evidence supporting the claims made by NLP advocates, and it has been discredited as a pseudoscience. So, but we should take into account that people who say things to us affect us every time. And if we understand that we can be affected simply by somebody saying something to us, that should tell us that neuro-linguistic programming does have an effect. Now, scientific reviews state that NLP is based on outdated metaphors and how the brain works that are inconsistent with current neurological theories. But it still works. It still happens. We're still trained in it. So it's not that aspect. Going in a different direction, NLP can be used for personal development. It can be helped to control phobias and anxiety. NLP uses perceptual, behavioral, and communication techniques to make it easier for people to change their thoughts and actions. And this is true. This is one of the reasons that it's used in hypnotherapy. It's also used in the aspect of the police and negotiators. They use it in order to change the process that a person is thinking so that they have a greater chance of the outcome that they want. NLP relies on language processing, but should not be confused with natural language processing. Now, neuro-linguistic programming is a way of changing somebody's thoughts and behaviors to achieve a desired outcome for them. So again, this could be used for stop smoking, weight control, anxiety, pseudo mental problems. These are all aspects which can be used using neuro-linguistic programming. Now, the popularity of neuro-linguistic programming has become widespread since it started in the 1970s. So you can see 1970s to 2020, we've got 50 years that people have been using neuro-linguistic programming. So it's not like it's a sudden thing which has come up and then just drifted away and come back up again. It's still in use in a great many forms, in a great many areas of our day-to-day life. Inner communication is a strong suit for neuro-linguistic programming and was originally known as the study of structural and subjective experiences. It's a fancy way of saying NLP breaks down what's going on between your ears so that you can do something constructive with it. The benefits. You can change, adopt, and eliminate behaviors as you desire. And this, you don't need to go to a hypnotherapist. Well, Irene, let's have a look here. Hello. Did you say you're a hypnotherapist? I don't respond with it. Why do you think? NLP hasn't worked either on me. Again, I'll go back to, thanks Irene for that question. It's a very, it's a personal thing, and it's also an aspect which we sometimes forget. Hypnosis is an item which, if you go into it believing that it's not going to work, then the chances are that it's not going to work. And if you have done NLP for yourself in personal training or trying to overcome some of the elements, we need to look at the outcome that we want. And if we see that outcome as being not obtainable or too far down the track, then it's not going to work. If you do neuro-linguistic programming on yourself or through hypnotherapy, the outcome should be little but constant. Now, don't plan on robbing a bank, so to speak. I'm using that as a metaphor. Don't plan on robbing a bank. until you've worked out where you're going to go. How are you going to get there? What are the obstacles in between? How do I overcome those obstacles? Each one of these is an aspect of NLP to which you have to be aware of so that you can train yourself through NLP to overcome each one of those aspects. During hypnotherapy, I don't know for what reason you went to a hypnotherapist, if it was weight or smoking, then sometimes we are reliant on, for argument's sake, the smoking. We have another question here. Boom, boom. I'll just put it up there. What are you talking about, sir? The aspects of neuro-linguistic programming, or the aspects that we have to improve ourselves by using language or concepts which assist us in improving our day-to-day life. Now, back to Irene. Sorry, Irene. So I would suggest that if you are doing NLP for yourself, look at the little things that you need to overcome and then work on the language and the programming to overcome each one of those items in succession, but always have in mind what the final outcome that you want is. I hope that answers your question. And if it doesn't, please tell me I'm talking out of my ring gear, and we'll leave it at that. But neuro-linguistic programming also has the benefit to choose your mental, emotional, and physical states at any time. That probably is something that would be along your lines, Irene. Communicate more effectively with anyone you meet and even yourself, and it removes limiting beliefs. That's true to an extent. Well, thank you very much, Irene. I appreciate your response. I'm not sure what it is you do, but if at any time that you wish to talk on what you're going through and how it's not working for you, we can bring you on as a guest, and you can we can see if we can find somebody that will give you a deeper understanding of neuro-linguistic programming. Some of the other things that NLP are good at is to access powerful internal resources. This is probably related to emotional and mental aspects in raising your own emotional conductivity, so to speak. NLP helps you to raise your ability to maybe not get over anxiety or any of those, but to recognize when it's coming up, and gives you the language that you can use to help subside the anxiety. I know people who have anxiety and depression, and it's a difficult aspect, and NLP can help. And as I said before, there is at least one program out there that comes as a PDF. And what I'm going to do is type it in. Excuse the small characters. It's a free download. It's an NLP training guide. Now, I will put in also the www, which will give you an opportunity to check it out. If you don't, that's fine too. Excuse me while I type. I'm not super fast on doing this, so it comes out of the UK. And there's quite a few of other ones as well, but you need to go looking for them, of course. I'm sorry. Whoop, I don't think I typed properly well then either. No, I didn't. Probably should have copied this at some point, and it would have been a lot easier. Credited dash NLP 123 ... training / NLP dash PDF. Now, hopefully all that'll end up on the screen because I'm going to put it up there. Can I see you? Mary, I don't know. Did you want to come on the show? I can send you a link if you like. I'll do that, just on the off chance that you want to get something said. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, this is interesting. I may have to press that one. Yvonne, and you are on a different link. Well, that's all right. Your comments are coming up, Mary, so that's all that matters. If you, we've only got about 10 minutes or so, but if you want to come on, I can send you a link if you so desire. Now, neuro-linguistic programming, the hypnosis style. Some say that neuro-linguistic programming is a derivation of hypnosis. I don't think that's actually true. A more accurate way of looking at NLP is to say that although it was heavily influenced by hypnosis and its various techniques, it is in essence its own body. Now, there's also another form of NLP, and I don't want to get confused if somebody tunes in and hears the term NLP. This is called natural language processing, and it's a branch of artificial intelligence. So it's about translating our written word and the like into machine language. Must be a big laugh for you, Mary. I'm not sure what you're laughing at, me or the me or the comments I'm making, one or the other. Now, for me, using neuro-linguistic programming, I use that in a lot of the hypnotherapy. So it's used a lot with to enhance the aspects of giving up smoking, drawing you into the right area for weight loss. It can be used for enhancing your aspects of how you do your job, how to improve yourself. It can also be used as an aspect for improving your sports aspects. What doesn't make you run faster, but it improves your mental aspect when it comes to running and sports. So there are a lot of uses for NLP. And as I've mentioned, you only have to listen to some of the people that are at Harvey Norman's or JB Hi-Fi, some of the car yards. If you listen and you know what you're doing with NLP, you can actually control the conversation so that they don't have that that aspect of control over you. You'll see it coming and you will work your way around it. Thank you very much, Mary. I'm glad you're enjoying the comments. So just to sort of top off on where we were going before, understand that sometimes NLP is a natural aspect, and people who use it for the wrong reasons, such as bullying and domestic violence, may not be trained in NLP, but they will use those aspects of NLP which are wanting a specific outcome to happen, and they will choose the best and greatest way to get that aspect before they consider themselves as being successful. For the person who is on the stage and doing public speaking, NLP is probably a brilliant aspect to do. If you want to do public speaking, then NLP is probably something you should look at, because you will learn that there are many aspects of the way that we talk and the way that we move, eye movement, body movement, language that we use. These are all aspects which, if you plan on doing public speaking or broadcasting, you should have a minimum, at least, of the background on neuro-linguistic programming. If you are unfortunate enough to be pulled over by the police, speeding, if you know NLP, it may not get you out of the fine or out of the money that you're going to have to pay, but it may help you in talking with the officer concerned. And if the two of you have a rapport strong enough, you may just get away with it on one or two occasions. There is always room for improvement on the personal basis. So NLP can and does have a very strong ability to give us greater sense of control in ourselves and our emotions. So it's something that you might want to look at as an aspect of increasing yourself and increasing your emotional and communication basis. There's a lot of people out there that use NLP, and I would have loved to have had a couple of them come on and give us a version of how they use it and the benefits. I see the benefits as being probably more greatly personal than business. From the business aspect, you have to work very hard at the outcome that you want. On a personal basis, you have a greater sense of what that outcome is that you're looking for. And so you have the greater analysis of where you want to go and the outcomes that you want to have. And I'm going to bring Mary up. I agree on your analysis of NLP. I know of someone who used NLP and was doing psych at uni. A detective marked their work and said that this person had a sinister mind. I use NLP to improve myself, to be a better person. And that is the greatest aspect of NLP. And having a detective look at that, chances are that that person may well have ended up on a please watch list if the answers were that impressive. I know that I have may well have changed a few people's minds on NLP, knowing that the outcome could be negative. But if you go into it with a clear intent, and the object is you don't intend on hurting anybody else, you intend on improving yourself, then NLP is an aspect that you should take the time to look at, read up on, go through a few of the processes of the PDFs that are out there, read a few things, and then see if that's somewhere you want to go. Now, if you've been through hypnotherapy and you found it didn't work, as I've stated before, a lot of that is based on your emotional aspect towards the outcome. Did you want the outcome, or were you simply trying to convince yourself that that's the outcome that you wanted? Sometimes we say that we want to improve ourselves, but when it comes time to actually doing it, we sort of fudge a little bit. And if I change, it's going to alter this and it's going to alter that. But in truth, if we do manage to correct some of the things that we do that are unpleasant to others, we become better people. So think about that. Now, in the last few minutes, I'll take questions if anybody has them, of course. I'm just going to put up that the aspect that sharing, please, when I can find it. You're free to ask questions. Now, please share with friends and family. Healing Within is about what you want, how you want to improve yourself, and how you want to gain knowledge that can help yourself. Next week, as a bit of a promo, we have Katerina Lanacic and the Lotus Sisters. Now, they are sisters, and they have told me that they had been twins in previous lifetimes, and they will be talking about the Akashic Records. And I can't admit to knowing everything about the Akashic Records, but what I understand is the Akashic Records has all the information of everybody, and we have the ability to log into those, to make corrections in the book, so to speak, and change aspects of our lives through the Akashic Records. Knowing that, thank you very much, Irene. I appreciate the fact that you have shared, and I hope that you will tune in on some of the other shows that we have. Please share and tune in next week for Katerina and the Lotus Sisters as they explain to us how the Akashic Records are beneficial to us and how we can make connections with the Akashic Records ourselves. And there will probably be a step-by-step on where you can go and how you can contact these people. Now, if you have a particular aspect of yourself or of healing that you would like to talk about, please leave a comment in the comment section about what that aspect is. It could be psychometry, it could be light therapy, it could be just about anything. And if you think it can help other people, then we will endeavour, and I use the term we, being myself and anybody I can find, to bring that information to you. So far, we've talked about energy healing, we've talked about sound healing, we've had spiritual healing as in shamanism, we've talked about NLP, we've talked about a multitude of other things. If you've missed these, you can go back to Eliza's programs and you can watch those. They are all available on replay, either at My Time TV Live, or you can go to My TV Live Well Spirit, which is my other channel, and I also have a listing of all of these videos there that you can watch at any time. So again, if you have something that you would like me to try and find more information about, please write it in the comments. And also we have upcoming shortly a series which we are going to call Divining the Spiritual. This will be on another channel, but keep an eye out for it. This will be done with people who do psychometry, tea readings, tarot cards, oracle cards, mediumship, all about the spiritual aspects and how each one has a different outcome, a different beginning, and a different way of doing it. So look forward to that one. I hope to catch up with you at some time in the near future. Next week we'll be Healing Within 22, talking about the Akashic Records. So please join me next week. Unless there's another question, I'm about to tune out, tune on, and move into my next preparatory session for the Akashic Records. I've got a million questions I have to ask and get ready for. So thank you for joining me this evening. I'm Roy Fenson. I run Moon and Mask. If you wish to check that out on Facebook, you are more than welcome. And I also do Healing Within. So please join me and leave comments. I appreciate every comment I get. And if I don't Oh, we have another person. Yeah, what have we got for? Sorry, I've got to put it up there. Thank you for tonight. Great info, suggestion for future, maybe Lee the healer. Yes, we've asked Lee if he wishes to come on, and he is a brilliant fellow, but he's not quite ready to come on at the moment. But we will get him on. Don't worry, he will come on. He has an unusual sense of the way he does his healings. So we will look into that. Could we discuss coping between 3D and 5D frequencies? I'm happy to do that. I have a woman who is getting me a couple of connections with people who are heavy into the 5G, I believe you're thinking about. Not D, but 3D to 5G frequency. And we are looking at getting one of these people on in the near future. So thank you very much for that. And that will be on the agenda in the near future. I can't say exactly when because I don't have the connections yet to make that decision. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I will catch up with you at some point next week. Thank you.